Well, good morning, Democrats. And good morning, Americans. Because that's what we are, Democrats and Americans. And that's why we're here as Democrats and Americans. And it's important that we all understand that and put it in our hearts. Okay? Now, I got to tell you that I'm excited to see you all out there. 4 months ago, Joe doesn't know me very well. My wife is saying he's going to knock that over. We should do a pool. 4 months ago, this was just an idea in a basement in Norwalk, Ohio, to get grassroots Democrats together to talk about ideas and underlying issues and what unites us. And that's why we're here, and it's exciting to see you all, and it's exciting to think about where this is going to go. Now remember, this is about you. It is not about me up here giving a speech. This is about what you do with the ideas you hear here in these panels. This is about the panels. It's not about the speakers. I mean, God bless Allison Russo for coming and Joe and giving a speech, but this is about the panels and your thinking and what you take back to your counties, what you do with it, okay? Let's be really, really clear. Now, this event is really about one thing: identity. When you scratch the surface, almost everything that we deal with, our problems, our issues, all of it, deep down, it goes to identity. Who are we? When those pickup trucks, I'm sorry, hold on just a second. I have an endless allergy, so you'll see me sniffle here a couple times during this thing. When those pickup trucks go driving through with those giant flags, that is about identity. When Trump holds those giant rallies, it's about one thing, and that is identity. And when they label us with the lies that you have to endure, at the root, at the heart of all of that is identity. But that's only half of it. When we lose blue-collar workers, that's about identity, our identity. When we lose rural counties or abandon them, that is about identity. When we squabble, when the people, I live in Brooklyn. People don't look like you in Brooklyn, and they don't think like you in Brooklyn, but they're Democrats. Now, I got people who think AOC has gone soft. They're all Democrats. We're all Democrats. And when we squabble first, as opposed to being a family, that is about identity. Now, I want you to think about, you ready for this? MAGA. Now, you gotta kind of admire that, because they've come up with something that anyone can believe anything they want to, right? If you want to be a racist, you can believe it. If you want to believe it's about abortion, you're going to believe it. If you want to believe it's about pickup trucks, you can believe it. It's not a political slogan. And that's important, because we keep running around talking about messaging and slogans and build back America. MAGA, Make America Great Again, is not messaging, and it is not a slogan. It is an emotional home. It is a place where these people say, I belong. It says, if I wear this hat, I'm someone. That's what those pickup trucks are doing when they drive around, potentially giving the finger, right? And they're saying, I'm someone. I belong to this family. It is their family. And that's why logic doesn't matter. That's why facts don't matter, because once you emotionally belong to something, you believe it. And that's what we're facing. So, there you go. What's our emotional home as Democrats? What is our emotional home? What's our family? Think about that. What is it that stands out and inspires every Democrat in America? Because I'm sorry, most of you are from Ohio, all of you are from the Midwest. I'm from Brooklyn. They're Democrats. They're just as democratic and fervent about it as you are. And I know a rancher down in Texas that carries guns, and he's a Democrat. And I have a woman I know who helped work on the Creed, and she lives in Indiana and drives a pickup truck in a small town. They're all Democrats. I don't mean, so when we think about what our identity is, it can't be about small counties, it can't be about big counties, it can't be about black Americans or white Americans or gay Americans or anything else. This is how we get fractured. We have to deal with these problems. We have to have policies for these problems, but our family has to be all of us. That's where the Republicans are winning and we're losing. We have to create a sense of central identity for ourselves, not messaging, not slogans, but a sense of what we believe. That's why we're here. Messaging is not the answer. Messaging comes from identity. Of course you got to have messaging, but you got to know who you are to start the messaging. You can't say, what do people want to hear? You have to say, this is who we are, this is our family, and this message will appeal to the people I'm trying to reach. That's how you get effective messaging. Now, there are two questions I want you to be thinking about while you listen to these panels. One of them is the most basic one. What is a Democrat? It can't just be that we belong to the party. What is a Democrat? Most of us have never stopped to think about this. Why are you a Democrat? I've asked this question to a lot of groups, and the answers all come back the same way. I want to help people, I got in this to make the country better, and yet everything we talk about is the next election. We need our identity. We need to stand for something that unites our party and makes the Republicans afraid of us. That is identity. After that comes politics. And it's big, it's tough, it takes a lot of work. Most of you know that better than me. But it starts with who we are and our sense of identity. And it's important because right now we are not united. I'm not with the party. I can stand up here and tell you things. This party is not united. We fight, we squabble. Now we're always going to fight and squabble because we're a big tent. We don't agree on how to get things done. But we do agree on what we want. We do agree on a just society for this country. And as long as we start with that and end with our policy squabbles, we're going to be fine. Now, the second question I want you to think about is, are we more than a political party? That's really what this conference is about. There's even a panel about it. If we're a political party, a standard political party is a group of people organized to win elections to gain power. That's what a traditional political party is. Now, despite the fact that in your heart you want to do things, stop and think about how we function as a party. Is everything, forget the cliches, the little messaging, our heart is what we do. Are we laser focused on the next election? And then do we step back and take a big breath, and are we laser focused on the next election? Or do we think bigger? Now, We all want to be more than a political party. I can tell you that because I've talked to too many people in the rest of the country. I talk at the county level, county leaders, people like you. There's a hunger out there for this to be bigger than just politics. If we want to be more, we have to become a moral force for change. We have to be about creating a just society as long as it takes. That's the difference between, most of you are from smaller counties, right? How many people here are from red areas, red or purple areas? How many people here are from blue areas? Yeah, okay, you're in the minority. The people out in the red areas know what I'm talking about. We're not going to change the red areas in 2024. We have to think about changing it by 2034. We have to have a plan. We have to have an identity that says we are going to change our identity and win over the 15% of the country that gets us from 51% to 65%. Real change in this country is only going to happen. We have a supermajority, right? Then the filibuster becomes nothing. So we have to start thinking 10 years from now, how do we own Congress, own the White House, and how do we get family care and all these things passed? We do that by creating a long-range vision and bringing the 15% that are not hardcore over to our way of thinking. We have to stop and think about that. I mean, it's really hard. You've spent your whole lives worrying about the next election, right? That's what you do. That's what the party does. If we're at a turning point in history, and if you want to be more, if we want to inspire people and have a longer range vision, we have to stand up and become more than just a political party. Is our purpose politics or a just society? You know, I want you to think about the donkey and the elephant. You see that all the time, right? Donkey versus the elephant. How about the football helmet versus the football helmet? The Browns, I'm sorry, I'm from Ohio, Cleveland, not in Cincinnati. The Browns versus the Steelers, Sunday, 2 o'clock, right? Ba-boom. Think about that, and then think about the donkey versus the elephant. What does it say? I hate standing behind a podium. It says 2 equal teams playing on a level playing field, right? Is that who we are? We're elevating them up to us when you talk about it that way. Is that who we are, or do we want to be seen as by ourselves the champion of hope for the future, of making the future work for America? That is about our identity. Messaging comes out of that, politics comes out of that, but identity, our core beliefs. And it's not about my speech. It's not about, oh, what a great speech. It's what you believe. Because what you believe is what other people will believe. And when enough people believe this, it becomes who we are. And the Republicans will accept it. Now, God, I hate, sorry for my New York slip there. I hate standing behind a podium. I'm a teacher who walks around the classroom. We're at a fork in the road in this country. We're at a moment of history, and most of it's hard to believe that when you're in it because it's day to day. But we're in as big a fork in the road as we were in the civil rights movement in the 60s. One road leads to a more just society, and the other fork in the road leads to chaos and division and pain. And there is a lot of money dedicated to taking that road. A lot of money, believe me. If I was a Republican and we were doing this, you'd all be eating steak today. And we'd have had money way back, okay? We are the people that have to decide which fork this road takes. And 10 years from now is when we're going to find out. I'm not talking about today. I'm talking about the next 5 years, the next 10 years. That is what we have to think, because that is what's going to happen. There's been a massive social change in this country, a social revolution. Now, most of you are older. Anybody younger out there? Sorry, I hate wearing glasses. I have to read them to look down, but Haven't got too many youngsters here. Some of you, most of you can remember when the idea of a black president was, oh, what a fantasy that is. And we don't even think about it anymore. Gay marriage was controversial 10 years ago. Most Americans don't even think about it anymore. This is, sociologically, this is huge change. And it's upsetting. It's confusing to us, right? People are talking about, we don't know what to do sometimes. Well, the people that are conservative, that are afraid, this is what created MAGA. This is what gets those people into pickup trucks, that somehow you can go back to the past. Well, you can't go back to the past, but you can block the future. You can create chaos and division and pain, and that's what we face. It's up to us to become a force for change that is bigger than politics. Of course it's politics. But the volunteers, we need volunteers all year round to go out and convince people. We wrote that creed so that every Democrat in this country would agree with it. I had 8 people help me. Socialists with a capital S, pickup truck drivers in Indiana, and the goal was to create something that every single one of them said, yes, I agree with those values. And you know what I've discovered? Republicans agree with them too. How am I doing? Any time? I'm going to tell you a story which isn't here. When I first time I came here, they had a do for me over at Sorrento's Italian restaurant. It's a huge Italian restaurant, mostly empty, and it was loud, and that's where I met Joe Miller. I don't know, where's Joe? There's Joe over there. Without Joe, this thing would not have happened. Without Inez, it would not have happened, without several people. So a lot of noise. I was the last one out, and I'm walking out, and there are 4 very proper older women sitting at a table. And being a good Ohio boy, I stopped, and I said, I hope we didn't disturb you with the noise. And one woman looked up at me, and she made it very clear she was a Democrat, and her friend across the table was a Republican. And they never talked politics because they were friends. And she immediately asked me, what was all that about? And I said, well, it was a book about the Democratic Party, and I was trying to back away. And I said, but it was really about values. And the Republican woman immediately looked at me, and she said, I read your values. And I'm like, you did? And she said, yes, I Googled them. And she said, well, I agree with those values, but those are American values. And all I could think of was, that is it. We stand for something that most Americans believe in. And I can tell you, I've had hate mail from people, and when I bring up the creed, and I say, well, how do you feel about this? It's always like, well, yeah, I agree with that, but I hate immigrants. If we talk about, we own values, and that's what we have to start putting ourselves out, and that's what has to be our flag and our banner for all the other stuff that comes. Now, last I want to say, you are the grassroots. I didn't actually write this book for you, okay? I wrote this book for all the people you're trying to reach. Most Americans don't follow politics, right? They don't have the time, they don't have the inclination, and they don't understand, but they want to. So the goal idea, let me have a copy of that book. The whole idea was to write something not intimidating, something that's easy to read and easily accessible English, but that actually says something. That was the goal of this. The goal is to get this book into the hands of regular people and get them to talk about it. To get people to say, I knew that, I just didn't realize it. Or I agree with that, I just didn't realize it, because then you can talk to them about voting. Then you can talk to them about local elections. You're going to see some great signs in the back, which Huron County used by taking the creed and just saying, do you believe in this stuff? What do you think? Because the goal, that's one other thing I got to tell you. The natural inclination is they attack, they lie, And it's like, okay, I'm coming back at you. That's not true. The entire Republican game plan is us versus them, period. Dividing us into tribes, because the truth is, the Republicans can never be the majority party. They can't. 50% for them is total victory. Their goal is to gum up the works, protect the rich. We're the ones that need the supermajority. We're the ones that need to convince people. And if all we do is think about fighting back, we lose. We have to convince. We have to change the conversation and say, yeah, but do you believe in these values? Do you believe in freedom, justice, and opportunity? Do you believe in the Declaration of Independence? Because a third of that creed is right out of the Declaration of Independence. It's no accident. You just took a Pledge of Allegiance that says freedom and justice for all. That's us. The 4th of July is our holiday. We need to be we need to have yard signs on the 4th of July that say justice and equality. Take the words right out of the Declaration of Independence. We stand for the Declaration of Independence. We stand for the Constitution. They don't. We need to take it back. So whatever you do is what really counts, and I'm already talking too much. My wife's probably saying, there he goes again, he went off script. You got the opener and the closer here like to talk. So you all have the creed. Most of you have read the book. The book and the creed and me are not the creed's a point. The ideas are the point. Not me, not the book per se. It's spreading these, changing our thinking. Change comes from the bottom. I'm sorry. The DNC is not going to say, let's change the way we think. You guys have to do it. When all the counties, when 30 or 40 counties in Ohio adopt the creed, you better believe the party will adopt the creed. And when several states adopt the creed, you better believe that the national party will pay attention to this. This is about you and me, what we do in the next 2 to 4 years. Scares me to think about that long, but that's what this is really about. Okay, that's why we're here today. Identity. I've talked too much, so I'm just going to stop and say once again, this depends on you. Thank you so much for coming. I'm very excited to see you all. I'm really excited to hear the panels, and on that note, I can stop worrying because I'm done. So thank you very much. All my goodies.
Give him another hand. When I learned about this book, I was in Columbus, Ohio, and I think it was Karen back there who gave me the book. And she said, you know, they give you the book if you're going to read it. So sometimes I lie and say, yeah, okay, thanks, I promise I'll read it. But I did read the book. And I thought the book was so awesome. And I ordered some books, and our president of our county party ordered books, and we handed the books out to people just to read them. I'm a member of a prayer group. I gifted my prayer group with the book. We all read it. And we all had Jim Purvis on the radio talking about the book. So if you have not read the book, please, ma'am, please, sir, take an opportunity to make it back to his booth and visit all the wonderful booths that are here, but make it back to that booth. Make it your business to get a copy of the book. The author is here. I'm pretty sure he will sign the book for you gladly, and you will be more than pleased, not just as a Democrat, but as an American. The values in this book, the values that you have on your table sitting here, they mean something. And if we do, like he said, come together, not just do it as this county, but all 88 counties in Ohio, and take it to Pennsylvania, and take it to Michigan and all the other states, we know that the Nationals will adopt this creed. Amen? At this time, this is what you all came for, right? So we are ready to move into our morning panels. the morning panel. So the way we will do this, we all know that there will be 2 panel sessions going on at the same time. So you have to be, we're Democrats, so we let you make choices, amen? So you get to pick and choose. The room 118, 117 to the back will be the panelists. It'll tell you room 17. It'll tell you in your booklet, on your program booklet, what room 117. So the panels here in this room, can you hear me now? Are rural counties relevant? And that panel will be here in the main room. And then back in room 117, are religious values compatible with politics? So you can pick and choose which one. You see what time we start. So I think, Jennifer, giving you 10 minutes if you want to take this time to get some more breakfast items. There is a VIP room, but I'm going to say if everybody is VIP, amen? So if you need to go back there to sit, or however, there are people back there to greet you. I have greeters around. They might have a lanyard on. Karen asked me if I needed a lanyard. I said, no, I don't need a lanyard. Everybody's going to know who Inez is. So, amen. Only a Democrat could say that. Yeah. But at this time, we're going to release you to avail yourself to take that time. Make sure you stop by and greet and meet our vendors. Again, I don't know if we welcomed you once, but if we didn't, this is a second welcome. But we thank you all for being here. Any questions? Like I said, you'll have people walking around with lanyards, and they'll say that they're volunteers. So at this time, you are free to go to your breakout sessions, and we'll meet back here. I guess the next one starts at 10 o'clock, so the breakout sections are there. If you have any questions, please ask, and I ask people to please make sure you silence your phones. 117, if it's right. 117. 117. Oh, if you go to the back. So where you signed in at, if you go straight down the hall, that's room 117. Where you signed in at, go straight down the hall. The restrooms are here, and then there's also restrooms in the back down the hall.